Welcome, age of vintage society. Musicals have always been memorable and successful features in Hollywood's reputation. Plenty of stars kick-started their careers in this genre, some of them at the incredible age of 11 years old. Such is the case of Joan Leslie, the actress and vaudevillian of the Hollywood Golden Age. Why was Joan Leslie a good liar? Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Joan Leslie had drama as her middle name, but not in the way that you would normally expect. Drama was a tool that built her a reputation as a gifted, talented actress in the land of the free. She could bring tears to your eyes in no time at all, and to bring smiles to the audience with a gentle gesture on her face. Joan Leslie was a brilliant artist who had skills in plenty of the arts. She could act, she could play instruments, she had a soft, soothing voice, and most importantly, she had an unbreakable determination to stick to her will and dreams. She was in tune with that inner voice that whispers to our ears, "Follow the path." She listened to her heart and always found her way through hell and high water. Life magazine described Joan Leslie as looking every inch the schoolgirl she is, and there's no doubt about it. When she was 2.5 years old, she was already acting. The sweetness in her manners charmed film directors, actors, actresses, and thousands of viewers and listeners all around the USA. She knew how to display an innocent facade, all the while not losing her grown-up manners. Displaying all her virtues was just a game to her, and of course it was. She was a child. But truth is, Joan Leslie had more behind that gentle face. From the outside, she was just a girl, a mere teenager with a smiling face and a cheerful voice. But deep down within, she had the mind of a full-grown adult, with marvellous intelligence, ready to climb up the fame ladder. Her career as an entertainer was like a shiny flame. It rose almost from nowhere, burning brightly, and died out in just a decade. However, her spirit and most importantly her passion for the arts made her impossible to quit the stage, even after she had long ago disappeared from the Hollywood radar. She kept acting in smaller roles and stuck to her values. But acting was not the only gift Joan gave to this world. She was a devoted Christian, and she believed in the betterment of the world, so she was involved in charity work, and she always stuck to her deep beliefs before taking any major decision in her life. The star Joan Leslie was born in January 1925 in Highland Park, Michigan, by the name of Joan Brodell. The youngest of 3 daughters, Joan absorbed her mother's musical talent. But she wasn't the only one. In fact, the 3 young ladies took her mother as a source of inspiration. After all, Agnes Brodell was a skillful pianist, so it was no wonder they all took a performance-oriented lifestyle. More specifically, Joan fell in love with the audience the very moment she hit the stage for the first time, at the fascinating age of 2.5 years old. Now tell me about the prodigies. That first performance would become a positive snowball effect. She would start training in dancing, singing, and dramatics, and learn how to play the banjo and the accordion. Reality struck hard when the Great Depression hit America in the mid-30s. The father of the Brodell family was an accountant, and with his job lost, there was no chance to raise his 3 daughters. Where would he get the money from? How could he feed 5 people with not a single dollar in his pocket? The answer was on the 3 girls and their artistic abilities. Mary, Betty, and Joan entered show business with a vaudeville act called The 3 Brodells, so they could support their father. Their show went from theatre to radio stations all over Canada and the USA. The gifted Joan was only 9 years old at the time, and she was already performing with instruments. Witty girls were the 3 of them, and good liars too. In order to bypass child labour laws at the time, they fooled everyone regarding their real age. When child labour investigators asked for her age, Joan said, "Oh, I'm 16 years old," when in reality she was 9. It seems impossible to get away with such an excuse, but let's not forget Joan's musical abilities. Who would have thought a 9-year-old girl could play banjo like that? Nightclubs and radio performances were successful, and the Brodell family was not starving anymore. But yet there was more to come. Fame and fortune were waiting just around the corner. In 1936, during a show at the Paradise Club in New York, executives caught an eye on little Joan. She just got it, they said. So when the presentation was over, they approached Joan backstage and told them about their proposal. "We work for the MGM, and we want to offer you a 6-month contract." The Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Company was willing to pay $200 a week for Joan's talent. This was the first milestone on her way to the top of the mountain. This would pave the way to becoming a star. Her first silver screen appearance was in the movie Camille in 1936. Joan was only 11 years old. She played the character of Marie Jeanette, but her speaking scenes were deleted and she was uncredited. This ended up being the least of the problems. After that, Joan was let go by the company when they were unable to find her proper roles. Joan would not give up. She was determined to succeed. Back in New York, she worked on the radio and as a freelance model. When her older sister Mary signed a contract for Universal Studios, she moved along with her to Hollywood. There, Joan found small roles in new movies, such as Men with Wings in 1938. But here came trouble once more. When the film director found out she was 13 years old, she was replaced with her sister Mary for the rest of the film. It seemed Joan's career wasn't made to flourish, but of course we all know that was not going to be the case. In 1941, Joan suffered a transformation. She left behind her past, including her name. Joan Brodell was about to become the girl next door, Joan Leslie. When Joan Brodell signed a contract with Warner, she found out there was some friction regarding her name. There was already an actress that worked for Warner with the name of Joan Blondell. To avoid future confusion, she changed her name and rebirthed. Now she was Joan Leslie, but her surname was not the only thing she had to give up. When working with a vocal coach, she had to get rid of her natural accent. The truth was, she had a strong Midwestern pronunciation, which needed to be soothed for the silver screen. Joan had left her caterpillar stage behind, and came out as a beautiful singing butterfly. Just 2 weeks after signing her contract, Joan auditioned for a mysterious movie. She didn't know its name, nor what the movie was about. But it didn't matter in the end. All she had to do was to cry on cue, which she did without hesitation. Her crying abilities gave her the job for the role of Vilma in the movie High Sierra, starring Ida Lupino and Humphrey Bogart as the main characters. A lesser role was more than enough for putting Leslie on the Hollywood map. From now on, things would only skyrocket. Later that year, Leslie got a role in the movie Sergeant York, thanks to her healthy habits. How did it happen? Well, Sergeant York is a biopic of Alvin C. York, a recognized World War I American soldier. The film demanded an actress to play the role of York's fiancée, but York insisted on finding one who neither drank nor smoked. Thus Joan Leslie earned her place in the film. Now tell me if this isn't a good reason for quitting smoking. But let's not forget, Leslie was only 16 years old at the time. She was merely a child, so it's no wonder she didn't debauch in alcohol and cigarettes. Actor Gary Cooper had the main role, which means Leslie played the role of his sweetheart. This is worth pointing out since both actors had a 24 years age difference. Gary was 40 years old and Leslie was just a sweet 16. However, behind the scenes, Cooper knew well that Leslie was still a child. According to Leslie, Gary Cooper once approached her during the set. From behind his back he took out a beautiful doll. It was a gift for Leslie. That's how he saw me, Leslie claimed. Eventually, Sergeant York became a hit and a financial success. It became the highest grossing movie of that year and made Leslie even a bigger star. Later on, she would appear dancing in the movie Yankee Doodle Dandy, as well as singing in the star-studded musical Thank You for Lucky Stars in 1943. By this time, Joan had received the reputation as the all-American girl next door. Her drama capacities served well for plenty of roles in musical comedies. The Sky's the Limit and Hollywood Canteen in 1943 and 1944 respectively are vivid examples of her potential. She did have the muses on her side. But muses are not enough in the show no mercy world of Hollywood films. By 1945, only 4 years since she became the all-American girl next door, Joan Leslie's roles decreased drastically. She worked on movies such as Rhapsody in Blue and Cinderella Jones, but it wasn't enough. Leslie demanded more mature roles for her. She was sick of being the little girl on the big screen. She was a 20-year-old adult now, and she deserved roles that fitted her age and grown-up personality. Also, Leslie was a Catholic, and she felt the roles she got to play didn't fit her moral values and beliefs. She wanted yet another change, but she was denied. The world didn't want a fully grown Joan Leslie. They wanted to see the endearing, innocent girl who dances and sings joyfully. Warner would not meet Leslie's demands. The way out then was taking Warner to court. With the help of her lawyer, Leslie was released from her contract. Now she was free to choose her path. She would find roles that suited her better. Therefore, from 1947 to 1954, Joan freelanced, generally working as a model and playing roles in low-budget Western movies, such as The Man in the Saddle of 1951 and Hellgate. Many magazines of that time claimed Joan Leslie had become yet another fatality of Hollywood typecasting, a major star who ended up as a poor-quality Western lead. Here, though, we find an important lesson. Despite critics and audience opinions, Leslie was grinning from ear to ear. She was a free woman, and she deeply enjoyed those Western roles. But what's even more important here is that she achieved the most fulfilling goal of her entire life. The 50s were the decade in which she formed a family. Joan met William G. Cadwell, an obstetrician, and in March of 1950 they got married. In less than a year, Leslie gave birth to identical twin daughters, Patrice and Ellen. From that point, her acting career died out slowly. Isn't it fascinating? She gave up fame for the love of her family, but don't worry, Leslie was far from giving up screens completely. Although her main focus was raising and educating her children, she signed a short-term deal with Republic Pictures for yet more low-budget Western films. There were some exceptions, such as the movie Flight Nurse, based on the life of the empowered Lillian Kinkella Keel, a flight nurse that saved lots of lives during World War II. Her last big performance would be the romantic drama The Revolt of Mamie Stover in 1956. However, being raised in the arts makes it impossible to cease. If you are a musician, writer, actor or painter, then you know what I'm talking about. Leslie kept working as a clothes designer and made sporadic TV appearances while balancing her life as a mother. During the 70s she made guest appearances in some famous series such as Charlie's Angels and The Incredible Hulk, until her very last performance in the TV film Fire in the Dark in 1991. She lived a happy marriage until the year 2000, when her husband William passed away. A year after such an event, she founded the Dr. William G. and Joan L. Caldwell Chair in Gynecologic Oncology for the University of Louisville. Being a devout Catholic, she did charity work for years, including the foundation. She died on October 12, 2015, at the age of 90. The Girl Next Door left an unforgettable legacy with her movies, but most importantly, she showed the world the importance of living up to our beliefs. She never hesitated in following her call, her life's path. She never feared change. She knew it was the key to living a more accomplished life. Joan Leslie, the girl next door, who taught with her actions. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. Joan Leslie got into showbiz quite early, and it was always a very dangerous profession in any era for a little girl. Hollywood industry is not all success and glamour. Judy Garland found that out early on. No wonder she had to retire at the age of 22. From this video, you'll find out very interesting details about her life.